when I watch you, listen to you, I feel like there's so much passion in everything you do. Where is that coming from?
You know, I think I have very strong clarity. You know, the luck of the draw of being an immigrant, having very little, growing up with a mom who I think was incredibly thoughtful, and you know, just the serendipity of the way my life played out. I feel like I'm not confused. And let me say what I mean by that. I don't understand how a human that's listening to this or that lives in the world doesn't recognize how remarkable it is to be a human. There are incredible challenges in being a human. There's many things always going on, whether in the macro or in one's individual status. Today, somebody will go to the doctor and get diagnosed with cancer, terminal. Today, somebody will lose a loved one. Today, there'll be macro things going on in the world, everyone knows that. That being said, in reverse, every day that something atrocious doesn't happen to you is actually the greatest. And so I'm incredibly driven by gratitude. Every day I wake up and my phone I didn't have to be woken up in the middle of the night of something terrible. Every day something bad hasn't happened to the 10 or 15 people that mean the most to me. I genuinely, not like the bullshit, you know, motivational quote on social media or on your calendar, I genuinely view that as an epic thing. I'm excited. I'm on the offense, you know, in general as a human. And so I'm very passionate. I'm pumped that I got to be a human. I could have been a hippo, you know, I could have been a flower, like a ladybug, like human is the apex of something that's alive. And we're also living in a great era. I know people are very, especially now, there's a lot of challenges going on. If we just rewind the clock 100 years from today, the second we're sitting here, you know, we're on our way to we're in the roaring 20s and it seemingly is good. For the next 25 years, the world is gonna be incredibly conflict with 2 world wars, life expectancy in its 50s and 60s. Like, we have it good. Not everyone listening right now is it good because something bad might have happened. They might be in an abusive relationship. They might be dealing with mental health issues. They may be dealing with health issues. I get that. My push to everyone who isn't dealing with something extreme is choose to be optimistic versus pessimistic and cynical, and you will be flabbergasted on how much more joy you will have. And so the reason I produce so much content is I believe that people who do see from a perspective of hope and love and joy and good have a bigger responsibility in our society right now to start producing more content, because I believe that negativity and cynicism and darkness is very loud. And I feel like light and happiness and joy, they keep it in their circle. They keep it amongst their 12 friends. And I'm willing to deal with the ramifications of a public figure life and all the judgment and the ridicule and the misunderstanding and all the lack of privacy and all the things that come along with it, because I think it's my responsibility that I got fortunate. And I don't love using lucky, but in this instance I'll say it, lucky with the DNA and the parents I had. And I want to be loud, and I want every single person who's listening right now to realize if you want to find negativity in the world, it'll take you 2 seconds. You can turn on the news, you can go on social and find certain stuff. But if you want to find positivity, you could do it in a second. You don't put on the news, and on social and digital, you find people that are pushing progress, happiness, advancement, offense, and there are millions of them. And I just challenge people to decide for themselves, because you find what you're looking for. Your life is what you decide to look for. Like for us 2, and Dustin's in the room filming me, for us 4 in the room, we were completely shaped by our childhood. DNA, sure, but nature, right? And nurture. And so I believe I'm in a small group of people, and it's not that small, 10, 20% of the world, that is the most fortunate. And I'll say this very slow because I think it may change the perspective of some listening. I believe the greatest way to have the best situation, to have the best potential, to have a good life, is to be born in this specific circumstance. To be born in a circumstance with not a lot, not a wealthy family, not a lot, but extreme love and happiness in the household. Because I believe what is happening, and I know that about myself, and I watch it in a lot, basically for the last 20 years, I've been watching people, right? That's why I was so all in on social and was an investor in all those platforms. I believe that if you are lucky enough to be born into a family that is happy, genuinely, that it's a joy, you know, you can't, there's gonna be conflict here and there, but overall, net score, a joyous, optimistic family. And you also don't associate that happiness with the fact that you're rich, right? Because if you're born into a wealthy, happy family, you as a child are formed, of course, to believe there's gotta be a variable there of the wealth driving this joy. If you're born the way I was, I mean, when I came to America, and I remember this because by the time we got here I was 4, and we lived there until I was 5.5, 6. I lived in a studio apartment not much bigger than the room we're in right now, probably 2.5 times bigger, tiny, with 5 to 8 family members depending on what was happening with our immigration. You know, you can't even comprehend how much of an advantage it is for a child to not have things but have pure love. You're unstoppable. You never, as an adult, associate happiness with money. Every time I talk like this, including this podcast, I will get comments in my social saying, yeah, whatever, like easy for you to say you have money, because they know me today. They don't know me from 22 to 30 when I never made more than $60,000 a year. They don't know me. I wasn't public. The world didn't work that way. So, I mean, my upbringing, and then I also had a mom who was very talented. She did something very smart. She built incredible self-esteem. I thought it was the best, but not entitled and delusional. So she grounded me a lot. It was also the 80s and she was from Russia, so I got a smack in the face at times. I think one of the issues with modern parenting is we don't hold kids accountable. We do instill delusion. I believe 8th place trophies have ruined the world. We've demonized losing. I think one of the great advantages a lot of athletes have is no matter when they start sport, there's nothing mommy and daddy can do on the ice or the court. In the classroom, they can literally go and fight the teacher after the report card and change the grade. But on the ice, if you lost 4-2, you lost 4-2. And I think that's a big deal. My number one thing to parents is show me someone who's a poor sport and I'll show you someone I want to get to know. And parents would be upset if their kid cried, and I would like run up to kids that would cry after losses and commend them. You're showing me you care. I think being competitive is a remarkable gift. Indifference is devastating. I mean, I cried basically every day of my life between 6 and 12 because I played everything, competed constantly, and there was not a time I lost between 6 and 12 where I didn't break into tears because it hurt that much. It hurt that much. And I'm devastated watching our society try to tell kids it doesn't matter. Meanwhile, they tell them grades in school does matter, when in reality, the day they become 22, it's the reverse. Competition matters in real life, and grades matter 0 in real life. And so I think, you know, it was a huge shaper of mine, plus where, you know, we moved from Queens to New Jersey. I grew up in a 1980s Edison, New Jersey childhood, which meant my mom had no idea what I was doing. She knew I was in the general area, and what was cool back then is all your friends' parents were your parents too. It was communal, right? It was different. Better behave. You better behave at all times, but you know, we just lived outside. We got into fights, we played sports, we sold lemonade and did business. Until you love yourself, you can't love anyone else. Until you trust yourself, you can't trust anyone else. Until you're comfortable with making mistakes with yourself, you can't be comfortable with others making mistakes. The number one reason I have so much compassion for everyone else is I have compassion for myself. I'm a human. I'm not a superhero. I'll make mistakes.
Yeah, wow.
I'm trying not to. I prefer not to.
Are you? Because at the end of the day, like, isn't one of the theories like, hey, fail fast and like, you know, like...
No, that is a slang term for, are you willing to take a chance knowing it may not work out, but you still, like every one of my chances, I prefer to work, but I'll take the booby prize of learning.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas other people, I think, are so scared that if it doesn't work, that it completely represents their entire self-esteem that they don't even try. Because why would you risk hurting yourself so much?
So if somebody has that instinct and that intuition that says they need to go out and take a chance, right? They're listening to Gary, they're seeing what he's got to say, they just feel it. How do you have any helpful hints or tricks?
Practice.
How do you practice intuition?
You practice intuition by not shutting it down. Meaning, all of you feel something when you meet somebody or you see something. Take a look. Like, think. It's practice. I'm telling you, it's like meditating. It's like playing tennis. It's like you practice kindness. How do you practice kindness, Gary? I don't know. When you see somebody in the street who's a stranger and you actually like their hoodie, instead of just saying it to yourself, be like, yo, nice hoodie, bro. That's called practicing kindness. The next time you have a quick second of, I like this person, but then all the things your mom and dad and you taught yourself, like, no, they're gonna hurt me. Well, just remember for a quick second. Remember that nanosecond before you went to your normal state where you're like, I think I like this person? Well, that time, jump in. And oh, by the way, when they fuck you, don't think that that's how it always... See, Gary, you're a fucking asshole. You made me trust this person, they fucked me. No. Do it again.
Again.
It's fucking practice. I'm like the opposite of Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson's like, practice, fuck practice. I'm like, no, everything is practice.
That's
and obviously
so
I
good.
loved his point, and I love my point, which is like, you want to grow intuition, you have to jump in all 2 feet into your intuition every time you can recognize that your intuition's telling you to go, even though your brain's telling you to know. If you can balance your stomach with your brain, you will be a fucking monster. And most people either are too delusional and just use their stomach and they're always getting fucked over because they're not using their fucking brain, or like most people I see, they're just using their brain and they've been taught and have learned how to completely shut down their intuition, and so they're one-dimensional and everything's very linear.
The one thing I've learned since COVID was meditation, and I've actually started to do that. I don't do it as much as I probably should to get still, to get clear.
Brother, there's no should.
Well,
there's some people that meditate every day. There's some people.
But I know that it works. Every time I meditate, I feel so much better.
Well, then you should.
I get super.
Well, then,
I get super still.
Let's talk about this for the last few seconds. Fuck. Like, you should meditate every day. When I hear, I feel so much better, you need to hear yourself and rewind this and clip this with your Cody and like really understand. No. Do you shower every day?
Yeah.
Okay. You should meditate every day. Because guess what? I bet you, like most dudes, somewhere in 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, even though your mom was, or someone, or the world, or somebody said you stunk and you knew you had to shower every day, you still weren't. We weren't in practice yet. I remember being in fucking 8th grade, and like, that's when it's like starts to get to real with the girls and everything, and I'm like, I don't want to fucking shower. I would go 3 days without showering, and then somewhere in, I think between freshman year of around freshman year, high school is a whole new world. I think high school is when I started to. Well, guess what? If you can shower every day, you can definitely meditate every day. Because dudes don't want to shower.
Have you had any experiences that were like longer, that gives you that vision, right? Because I know that I've had experiences where like I'll meditate or I'll go somewhere for like a day or two to get clear visions, so that way I can figure out what I want to do in the future. So that way I can start practicing it now. Is there anything that you do that's really worked to create a bigger vision?
But I think this is really rough. Because I think this is, I think I'm in some sort of like advanced state.
That's what you are.
I feel like I'm meditating and thinking and being thoughtful every second. I even said to Dustin fucking yesterday that I had this weird revelation the last month that I think I'm thinking fully at night. And I'd never, like I have this weird...
conscious.
What's up? Yeah, like while I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
Like, I had this weird thing happen twice now in the last month. I feel like something's getting to the front of my head from the back of my head, where like, I never remember anything. None of my dreams. None of my everything. And like, 2 times now in the last 3 weeks, I feel like I've got an answer to something, and I can recall thinking about it when I was sleeping.
Yeah.
Because I think I deep sleep. So I think a lot of people light sleep, and like, so they can remember a lot of shit because they're like half in and half out. I'm like out.
I think your ability to be present, like you're so present. Like for everyone, the people that don't really know you and they think, oh, he's all over the place, he's on social media. Like every time I've been around you, it is amazing how like
locked in.
And I think that leads to when you rest your head at night, you're able to like be so clear because you're not worrying about the future, you're not worrying about the past. I think that helps drive that brain a little bit.
To answer your question, I just think I'm meditating, some version of meditation at all times. I'm always trying to be thoughtful. I'm always trying to be in the middle. I'm not trying to let I just have a good relationship with myself. And that's what I want people to love themselves, because I think the things that I watch trigger everyone around me is a direct correlation to their relationship with themselves.
Challenges that I face all the time with some of these students is anxiety, and how I can help them see that they are, they can do more than they think, and that they're stronger than they know. How would you articulate or explain to them?
You know how I do it. I'm doing it. I put pressure on the true answers. Insecurity is the seed that creates all these issues.
Absolutely.
And so I'm trying to figure out why they didn't build self-esteem, who didn't build self-esteem. And the reason I bring up mom is Jesus, it's such a big percentage of it. Mom or dad is 80% of it. It's just, I do this a lot. I'm fascinated. Listen, my dad, I don't talk a lot about this. That's what happened to my dad. My dad, I'm so impressed by him. The way my grandmother parented my dad is unacceptable. That's the only word I can think of. So I'm fascinated by it because I had the reverse. I'm so perfectly parented by my mother, I'm unstoppable. I feel guilty that I'm so emotionally grounded and strong. That's why I'm giving it to you. What do you think's happening up here? I feel guilty that I have it so good mentally. There's nothing anybody can do to my mental state. It's insane. I am so weird, guys. Nothing hits, it's like I'm numb. And so I go right to the core. I do it when I see it sometimes. I'm like, hey, you are unbelievable and you think you're shit. That's bad. We need to talk about this. Tell me everything about your childhood. And I just go there and, sometimes you get a little break sometimes, but what's really fun is they start thinking about it and it changes behavior. I get an email every day that says that they disconnected from somebody in their inner circle, and for the last 6 months, they're breathing for the first time in their lives. It is not easy to break up with your brother. It is not easy to break up with your spouse. It is not easy to break up with your father, but that's actually the binary move if they're the poison of your life. So, if that's your reality, you need to think, because guess what? You have one life. And you don't want to be 73 when your parent passes away and finally start breathing. B, if that is not your life, you need to drive home right now and kiss your parents in the face. What I'm worried about for the business owners in here that are considering technology is there's multiple things going on right now. The market's tougher. AI is looming. Real talk. No matter what you've read or what you've thought, I just want to remind, how many people here are over the age of 45? Raise your hand. For everybody who just raised their hands, you lived a full childhood before you went on the internet, like I did. I went right through high school never being on the internet. We have all, if we're over 45, in our grown-up life, young adult life, have watched technology completely change the world. My first ever talk was for 13 people in Union, New Jersey at a Chamber of Commerce event in 1997 when I told them that I was going to build a website on the information superhighway on the World Wide Web, and I was gonna sell wine on it from my dad's liquor store. And I gave this passionate rant of what was happening and why this, that, and why some of you, I know all of you, are advertising in the yellow pages. Remember that shit, OGs? Kids, you have no idea how crazy the fucking world was pre-internet. And I gave this talk and I'm done, and I feel like I fully laid out why the internet was gonna be big, and I felt amazing, and literally those 13 people laughed directly in my face. The first guy raised his hand and said, you're telling me that I'm going to go to a computer and buy a bottle of wine? Why wouldn't I just go to your fucking store? And then everyone laughed. And I looked at all of them, I said, all of you are gonna laugh right now, and then someone like me is gonna go into your industry and make all of you fucking cry. And then it got quiet. And then it happened. What I'm worried about is, when I was doing my homework, how many people still haven't advanced their tech stack? And I get why. I come from small business. I grew up with a father where every dollar mattered. So I get that in a tough year, it's hard to unravel all your legacy tech and make the investment to cloud-based SaaS this and this, that, and retrain all your own. I promise you, I'm from the dirt. I really, really genuinely understand. The problem is we have a perfect storm of why you get hurt. Macro market, tough. Macro technology train coming very fast. You try to hold off for another year or two because you want this year's P&L not to be a disaster. And then we wake up in 2026 and 2027 and it's really ugly. That concerns me, and that's why I talk about complacency. My favorite strategy to watch in business is this one. This is the one that I've watched when the internet came along. This is the one that I watched when blogging came along. By the time social media came, which is why I'm an investor in Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, all these companies very early on, was I had seen the pattern recognition. Your industry, all of you, it's really gonna happen. By show of hands, how many people here know what a deep fake video is? Raise your hands, put up the lights, I just wanna see. First of all, epic, good work. For the ones that didn't raise your hands, don't feel bad, it's still an emerging tech, but clearly either that Weeknd Drake song or the Dame Lillard ESPN thing last week. So just for everybody to fully understand, for the last 100 years of society, the judge and jury has not been the Supreme Court in America. The judge and jury of our society has been video proof, right? Think about history. History will always tell you the future. There were human beings that used to live without video. Didn't exist. It was invented. It's not even that long ago. For the last 100 years, all proof has been the video proof. We are entering into a new era of technology and society that every person in this room in 5 years will not believe a single video they see. There will be more fake videos on the internet and on the news in the next half decade than real videos during that same period of time. Think about that. So what's going to happen is every company that produces video will first have to put it on the blockchain to show they were the people that made the video, and then it will go to the internet. We now take the internet for granted. It is infrastructure for this world. It is the biggest thing that happened to this industry in the last 25 years, and there's not even a close second. But it's only 25, 30 years old in the form that it is today. We take for granted that there won't be new technologies that come along. The blockchain and AI together over the next 20 years. How many people here plan on working for another, actually let me go a different way. How many people here plan on retiring in the next 5 years? And I don't mean you're gonna crush it next year and buy an island. I mean you're fucking old and you're finished. Raise your hands, retiring in the next 5 years, raise them. All right, let's clap it up for these 14 OGs. Enjoy the fishing, get that sunshine. For the 99.9% of the rest of you, this stuff is coming. And what I'm concerned about is it's hard to run a marathon when you're not on the treadmill setting up for it. The thought of how many people here are still in the same tech stack or not even in a tech stack in 2024, knowing what the world's gonna look like in 2030 is petrifying to me. 14 people in here are lucky because they're gonna be fishing and laying on the beach. But for the rest of you, if you feel like you're a step behind on tech, look, on the record, I don't like tech. I don't like innovation. I wish nothing changed. Every 5 years I figure it all out, start crushing, and then the shit changes. I'm annoyed. I understand. I don't want anything to change. I wish it was just email and Google AdWords like in 2000. I had it fully figured out. I wish it was before internet. My direct mail and newspaper ads crushed. I don't want this. I'm not a futurist. I don't think this is cool. I didn't even own a computer until I was 19. I'm actually not that interested in tech. I'm just interested in not going out of business. I'm just interested in growing. I'm just interested in not being delusional. When I said this is most people's tech and innovation and marketing strategy, I mean it. Most people when they see new shit come, put their head, they see a huge tidal wave of innovation, they put their head in the sand and pray. And a very few amount of people grab a surfboard. I believe the business world, and I believe humans in general, are obsessed with no. It's safe. They're obsessed with or. I can either do this or that. I really believe the most important word for almost everyone in this room is maybe. When new stuff comes, instead of no, for the stuff I'm talking, post 3 times a day on LinkedIn, your business will grow. Do you know how many people are here? No. Can't. Why? No. I've tried, it didn't work. You tried, but you sucked, right? Do you know what the ROI of a basketball is for LeBron James? Billions of dollars. You know what the ROI of a basketball for me is? Negative 10,000. I've torn both my meniscuses and haven't made $1 on it. Social media, LinkedIn, B2B marketing works. If it doesn't work for you, it's because you're not good at it. And these are the things we need to understand. Maybe. Whether you're a lawyer, an accountant, in the service business, if you're a VP of sales, if you don't even have your own business, I know as I look at all these faces that everybody, including myself, someone who puts out 50 pieces of content a day across YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, LinkedIn, every person in this room right now, including me, does not post enough on social media if they want to grow their business. And I know most of you don't post at all. And so there is this shocking reality right now in the world where people continue to disrespect social media as a driver to what they want. Whether that is growing your business, whether that is running for local office, whether that is raising money for your local charity or something you care about. The attention of the world is my currency. It's the only thing I care about. You can't get anything done unless you have somebody's attention. Since I was 7 on Tingley Lane in Edison, New Jersey, and would walk that street to figure out where I should put my lemonade sign to get more people to buy my lemonade, to sitting today and looking at everything that's happening on streaming services and social networks. For the last 40 years, all I've paid attention to is where's the attention. Whether that's direct mail, Star Ledger, New York Times, Google, Facebook, TikTok, influencers, athletes, sports, where's the attention? Everybody here needs to make a much bigger commitment to understanding where the attention is, not where your attention is. If I hear one more business owner or executive say, well, Gary, I don't use TikTok. I go, no shit, Don, but your customer does. Making decisions for your business based on your personal opinions of what people should be doing with their time is one of the stupidest business strategies of all time. You should be 100% agnostic on where you spend your time and money. You should care where your customers are, not where you think they should be. And that is a massive mistake I see every day. So look, I think the world continues to evolve. I don't have to tell everybody in this room. There's a lot going on. Yesterday was the election. It means the 2024 election season has begun, right? So it's gonna be plenty of feelings and all sorts of stuff going on, and it is all playing out on your phone. The phone has become the television, and the television has become the radio. Got it, Joe? That's what's happened. If you want a history lesson, go look what happened in the 50s and 60s in America, how all the biggest businesses in the world lost market share, and how all the current businesses that are the biggest businesses in the world right now started to grow. And the one variable was the following. Some people held on to running ads on radio, and others jumped into television. Do you know that Amazon was the biggest spender on Google AdWords the first 5 years of Google AdWords by a 10x multiplier? There's a direct reason why Amazon's one of the biggest companies in the world. They understood where to spend the money on the underpriced attention. But then the thing that clearly led to me being able to sit in front of all of you here today, content. You know, obviously I built a very large liquor store in Springfield, New Jersey for my dad with wine library that hopefully some of you have driven by or even stopped into. And at first it was because I was just good at retail, in the same way that I was good at selling OJ's rookie cards at a baseball card show. Once I learned, because I knew sports, once I learned wine, I was good at selling all of you wine, and I thought I was a salesman. As I got older, and I started working in my dad's store when I was 14 years old, stocking shelves every vacation, every weekend, every summer day. And so by the time I was 22 and running the store full time, I was an OG. I had 8 years of real work, not like the way kids work today. And so I thought of myself as a salesman. But in hindsight, as I get to sit here today and I'm like, what can I say that will make them do something that will make it good for them? The two things I bet on in my career and everything I've built is innovation and content. So innovation is me launching a website in 1997 for my dad's one-store liquor store in Springfield, Millburn. People literally told my dad that like I was going to ruin his business. Not because they were mad at me, because they loved my dad. They saw him go from a stock boy who couldn't speak English to owning this store, and they've known him for 20 years. And here I was coming along and spending $10,000, which was a lot of money for a small business in 1997, to build a website. Everybody told me, kid, you don't get it. This is the liquor business. Nobody's gonna buy wine on the internet. For the youngsters in here, there's plenty of OGs and gray hairs in here, so you'll get it. But for the youngsters in here, a lot of people thought the internet was a fad. A lot of people. And so people were like, open a second liquor store, not this internet thing. And then instead of doing catalogs or running full page ads in the Star Ledger, which I did, but instead of that, I started to send emails in 1997 with wine offering. I wasn't a rocket scientist. Catalogs in the Star Ledger were expensive. Email was free. But in 1997, 98, 99, 2000, and not all of you will remember this, if you lived through that era, we were reading like every email. We weren't getting spammed like we are now. How many people here have done email marketing close enough to like know it a little bit in your careers? Raise your hand. Perfect. In 1998, I had 100,000 people on the email newsletter with 87% open rates. Now if you're at 30%, you're a genius. But that was because it was new, but it wasn't too new that it wasn't real. The metaverse is coming. It's real. That's gonna impact your business. Events are gonna be in a metaverse. That will happen, but 18 years from today. And so you get to decide like how much that matters to you. What are your ambitions? Retired, so you're like, fuck that shit, I don't care. But for a lot of youngsters in here, like, that's gonna change the game. People, back to work from home, trust me, I have 2,000 global employees. I don't think anyone's working, but like, man, work from home, like, Jesus, like, the advancements of the metaverse, we are gonna, like, think about what Zoom meetings feel like now. All of us know that you can be productive. We taught ourselves that during COVID. When we go into the metaverse and you're getting the things that you lose in Zoom, like really when it's there in 15 years and it actually feels like you're in the room. Not like a video game, but like actually. Like that will change the way we work. So I've always believed in innovation. The thing is, I don't want to get too far ahead of it. So for instance, I recently helped my dad's liquor store. I innovated, luckily 6 months before COVID, and I created something called winetext.com for him. You get a text every day, like old Groupon, some crazy deal. Like yesterday was a $130 Napa Valley cab for 40 bucks. Because we look at 10,000 wines a year to find 365 good ones, we're getting crazy deals. But it's better, it's like old email. When you get a text, and all you have to do is reply with how many bottles you want, and it's sent to your home, that's good shopping. Eliminating friction, making it more convenient. Every single business in here, if they make it more convenient for someone to buy, will grow their business. We spend money on time all the time. There are people here who've ordered a $5 burger on Postmates, but it cost you $29 to get it delivered. But the time was worth it for you at this point in your life. When everybody was making fun of me in 97, 98, 99, that nobody would buy. I remember one guy, very successful guy, was pushing me hard, trying to prove his point, and he ended with like, Gary, how many people do you really think in 10 years are gonna buy wine on the internet? And my answer was, everyone. And not that I believed everyone, but I believed a lot. And I think many people here know that if you really take yourself back to what you thought you would do versus what you're actually doing, technology always wins. There's plenty of people here who did not want to get an iPhone because they loved their BlackBerry because they could touch the buttons. Nobody here is rocking a fucking BlackBerry. And so one thing to always think about is innovation, but not so far out that it's not practical. This is not the time to go all in and bet your company on the metaverse. But keep a little eye on it, because I could be wrong about 12 years. Apple or Facebook or Netflix or BMW or Google could launch something tomorrow and everything speeds up. This phone, the iPhone, was invented and everything changed the next day. Right? If you think about the biggest companies in the world, the Facebooks and the Ubers, and right? They don't exist if there wasn't a platform called the mobile device that has the internet on it.